Black folks will never be free because they don't want to be free. And the ones that want to be free don't know how to be free. Was a phrase my mother beat into our heads since we were children. And up until I started my own like organizing and political activism work, I thought she was bugging. But moms are right. A few months ago, when the 92% were sending this one out, we did our part. Don't let them cajole you outside, as if the dominant cultural group with a shitload of power needs to cajole you to do anything. They can just make you do it, as has happened historically. When all of that talk started and I said that y'all were the descendants of the ones Harriet left behind, y'all were like laying into me like I called you everything but a child of God. And it's like, why, when you're still doing this? Any Black person that I know in real life or is mutuals on platforms that are talking about grassroots organizing, mutual aid, showing themselves doing various levels of community works, there are like an alarming amount of Black people discouraging them from doing so. And if we were truly as a community capable of having hard conversations, of looking ourselves in the mirror and really reconciling with where we fail, we would be honest about the fact that a lot of Black folk thought they inherited revolutionary works. They didn't think they'd have to add to them. People have turned their grief into a sword of apathy, and that is so deeply concerning to me, because ultimately that's what this is. Prolonged grief. A lot of Black folks are figuring out, perhaps for the first time in their life, that they did not truly inherit freedom, but rather inherited steps toward it, which required them to continue on. And that's something a lot of people haven't yet reconciled with. It's the reason why a lot of Black folks think that capitalism will save us, or separatism/segregation will save us, because you haven't grieved the fact that you are intended to do works. If your ultimate goal is self-determination for Black folk, if the ultimate goal is liberation, you inherited an uncompleted project and you don't want to have to finish it. And there's a host of factors that play into this, but like this increased indifference and apathy that is being framed as revolutionary and pro-Black is where I'm concerned. I don't care if you want to sit out doing shit. I care if you try to act like sitting out is the revolutionary response. A lot of people want to sit out because they know that ultimately they inherited an incomplete project and they are not going to be able to finish it. That stirs a lot of feelings in here that people don't know what to do with yet, making them obfuscate the function of these works, of mutual aid, of organizing, which has again always been a long game. When I made the video a few years back on Haitian Independence Day, which is the new year, I impressed upon people that it was a 13-year-long war, because it was. A lot of Black people in my comments did not know that. But also, a lot of people didn't know there were, prior to the Haitian Revolution, hundreds of revolts that led up to the circumstances that allowed this to happen. If you are a descendant of chattel slavery, you have ancestors, potentially, because again, everybody doesn't come from like an inherently revolutionary background, but you potentially have ancestors who lived and died in chains and still made shit shake because they knew someone could potentially inherit that one day, and they wanted to prevent that outcome. There's an underling of sacrifice that a lot of people are not prepared to do. And it's that knowledge that is promoting Black people to shift the terms of pro-Blackness, of revolutionary thought and activity, to be one of apathy, to be one of sitting down. And it's especially weird for me because I have a video going viral right now from last week talking about the fact that we are ultimately in the States in a white-Black racial conflict, as we have been since chattel slavery began here. And a ton of Black people in my comments are agreeing. So if you genuinely do think that's the case, what is singing out gonna do for you? If you understand truly you're the ultimate target. A few months ago when I came on here and talked about this shit, it made me angry. Now I'm just kind of sad for y'all. That's a really hopeless place to be. That's the only way you can like really rationalize it. If you don't think that there will ever be a better outcome, or rather the outcome that you get, even if it is better, because it is not total freedom, because it's not total liberation, because it is not full self-determination, you don't think it's worth seeking. That's the spirit of people who gave up. And that's saddening. To spend my entire life being coached into the belief that Black folks have this indomitable spirit. We will always rise up against oppression. And then, I don't know. And something I've been thinking about for the past few days, because a lot of us were raised in some level of Christian tradition typically. For as the body without a spirit is dead, faith without works is dead also. Believing you deserve freedom, believing you deserve liberation, believing that your children should have full access to self-determination is not enough, because faith without works is dead. For all of our hooting and hollering, I think a lot of people are losing sight of the fact that you inherited a bounty. You were not born in the most barbaric and cruel iterations of slavery. You are living in its derivatives, but even that is a privilege. And I think that if we as a culture truly venerated our ancestors more, if people understood the sacrifices that took place, the fact that quite literally dozens of generations never saw freedom, they were born and died in shackles for you. You could not be talking like this. You could not genuinely think sitting back would do anything for you now or for your children later. They don't have to cajole you to do shit. This country bombed a city block in Philly in '85 over Pan-Africanism, gave us crack and guns as population control, And in short, they'd have a full-time slave population through incarceration. That's only possible because of the power their ancestors consolidated and that they are making sure is maintained. And similarly, your ancestors ensured you were not born during the worst iteration of enslavement you could have been. And I do think you owe it to them, as well as your future descendants, to move them further along. I thought we all understood that.